Hey guys, welcome back to Heroes of the Storm. Today I want to talk about a hero who's surging forward in popularity, received a massive buff in the Lieutenant Morales patch, and is now one of the strongest heroes in the game, Tyrande. Now the reason that Tyrande is crazy strong is that she has the ability to do multiple roles at the same time, and can specialise in one role throughout the game, and can really provide, she can fill a gap that not many other heroes can fill, and as a result she's really strong if you can want to first pick her in Hero League, or if you just want to throw her down so that you're like, right, I know I can play her well, let's play her. And the reason she can do that is because she can fill both roles of range damage and healer. Now, a lot of people don't really, I would say, respect just how good she is at both of these roles and how good she is at both of these roles at the same time. Obviously, once you specialise down one route, the other route suffers, but even if you specialise fully down the damage route, her healing is still pretty good, and you can take one or two talents which don't make your damage suffer too much, but they mean your healing goes up by just so much, such a ridiculous amount. And of course, with the way that her trait works, she can help the entire team out a significant amount. So first off, let's go over her abilities. So her Q is a heal, and it heals you, and it heals someone who you target as well. As a result of this, you should always be casting it on an ally, even if that ally is at like 99% health. If you cast it on them, you will get the heal for free, so it's always worth casting it on someone else. Obviously, if you're desperate and there's no one around, you have to cast it on yourself, but always cast it on an ally where possible. 8-second cooldown, and when that gets into the late game, if you specialise in healing, this is going to heal for a ridiculous amount, and it's going to be really, really, really strong, and this is going to be where most of your healing comes from if you go down a healing build. W is a Sentinel, and now you can go for the Owl build. I'm not going to go over the Owl build in this particular video because I don't particularly like it. I think it's quite a gimmicky build. It's good fun, and it's great if you're going up against someone like Abathur who you can take out instantly, and it's great if you want to get those long range snipes off, but for this particular build I don't think it's very strong, and I don't think it's very good in the meta at the moment. But still, Sentinel's a very good move. It goes globally, as you can see, it doesn't ever finish. And what it does is it travels along the line that you determine until it hits an enemy hero, unless you take the PS talent, and it just travels down that line and reveals everywhere as it goes. If you send it through a brush, it will reveal that brush. If you send it near a brush, it will reveal a part of that brush. And if it goes near any enemy heroes, if it hits one, it will stay on them and will reveal an area around them for a little while. And of course, if you hit someone, it's a skill shot, so it can hit people in stealth, it can hit people hiding, it can go through structures, all kinds of good stuff. You can really use it to see where the enemy is at all times. And one of Tyrande's best abilities, and probably the best ability in her skill set, is going to be Lunar Flare. It is a long-range stun that has a delay on it, so as you can see the range is quite substantial, and when you fire it, stuns at the end of the animation, so it is dukeable, and if you can predict it, you can get out of the way, but if you are very, very good at landing it, it's going to be damn near impossible for people to duke it time after time. As a result of the long range of it, and particularly when you level her up a little bit, it does get incredibly, incredibly strong, so you can spec into a Lunar Flare, and that will be part of the damage build that if you want to go for that. But Lunar Flare on its own can just be used as an incredibly good stun to interrupt channel abilities like Ravenous Spirit, or moves like a Jug of 1,000 Cups. It can be used to just get rid of people from doing things. Things like Mosh Pit, it can be used to take people out of. It's really, really good. And it does hit pretty hard, and it does have an incredibly long range on it, and it does get even longer as you level up. So it's just a good move. And remember to use your Hunter's Mark. You can use Hunter's Mark on anything. It can't be used on structures, but you can use it on anything else. You can use it on mercenaries if you're killing a boss golem. You can use it on Immortals in Battlefield of Eternity. You can use it on skeletons. You shouldn't ever use it on skeletons because you one-shot them anyway, but you can. So you can use it on anything really, and it's really, really useful if you're just trying to damage someone, if you're trying to get a pick on someone really, really quickly and you're not sure if you're going to have the damage to kill them, or if you want to take down a tank surprisingly quickly, you can throw that on. As you can see though, this does have an incredibly short range. This is the same range as Tyrande's auto attacks, so you are going to have to get pretty close to someone if you want to throw that on them. But once you throw it on them, the chances are they shouldn't really be able to get away from you, especially if you combine it with the stun that Tyrande can throw down. You can throw down Hunter's Mark and then follow it up with a stun instantly. That means that your stun hits 25% more, they're locked down for a second, and they're going to be taking 25% more damage from everyone on your team. So, Tyrande's two builds, and you can chop and change them and go half one, half the other, although I would say the more extreme that you do that, the more extreme that you don't specialise in one part or the other part, the more Tyrande's going to suffer. So I'm going to go over the first build, which will be the healing build, and then I'm going to tell you how to play that, and then I'm going to go over the damage build after that. So, the healing build. Healing build is incredibly strong ever since Shadowstalk got a heal put on it. Now what that means is that's an ult which was never ever chosen. Now it is chosen quite a lot of the time because it provides a substantial heal for everyone around the map regardless of where they are. everyone on your team. And it puts you in stealth and all kinds of good stuff. So it is, but predominantly it's used for the heal. And as a result, now Tyrande has a legitimate healing spec, and she can't really solo heal. She can do it at a shove, and if really, really desperate, you can do it. But I would say this is going to be my go-to healing build, what you use to really get the most out of Tyrande's healing, while still having enough damage so that you're not just a lame duck. So at level 1, obviously the go-to talents in this build are going to be Celestial Attunement, which I don't particularly like in all honesty. It reduces the cost of Light of Balloon by 30%, which some would say is really, really good, and it means you can cast it a lot. Yeah, it is good, and Tyrande does have mana problems, so it is kind of good at sometimes, but I actually think Ranger's Mark is slightly better. This means that Hunter's Mark is on a 12-second cooldown as opposed to a 20-second cooldown, and it means that you provide more utility. And in my opinion, being able to pick someone at the start of a fight is more important. You're going to get more of an advantage from picking someone at the start of a fight than Tyrande being able to heal for 30% longer. So I like Ranger's Mark on this. Of course, you'd be surprised how much of a skill cap Ranger's Mark does actually use, because you need to be using Hunter's Mark a lot of the time. And a lot of people who are new to Tyrande just forget to do that, or put it on really wonky targets time after time. Don't be afraid to put it on NPCs or things that you're trying to focus down, and don't be afraid to put it on a tank if the tank's massively overextended. At level 4, this is the healing build, remember, the only 2 talents that you can really pick here are going to be Protective Shield, and that will be your go-to talent. Taking Protective Shield is just a very good talent if you want to just keep someone from dying, or Healing Ward. I don't like Healing Ward ever since the nerf, as it just gets AoE'd down by anything, but if your team is taking a ridiculous amount of damage and there is you are no chance of healing them up in that time, you can just take Healing Ward, throw it down, and heal everyone for 20% of their max HP. Not very good in a team fight, and as Tyrande you are going to be best in team fights in terms of how your healing works, because outside of combat you're just going to be draining mana, so you want to be in the fight as much as possible. So I say Protective Shield's very good here. Let's actually click it. At level 7, this is where things get slightly strange. So you can take all 4 of these talents, and a lot of people don't agree with this, but I think it's actually really, really good. And one of the best things about Tyrande is how dynamic you can be in taking these talents. So if you're going for a flat out, I need to heal my team utility, go for it. You can take Quickening Blessing. However, I think that if you're taking Quickening Blessing, you probably want to take Lunar Blaze instead. And this is because if you can boost someone's movement speed, that's fine, but they can still be hit by CC and they can still be killed. And if you take Lunar Blaze, you can just stun people from further away. That means that you can stun people to peel for your team that are running away, or you can stun people to stop them running away. Either way, it's better, in my opinion, than a 25% speed increase for 3 seconds. A 1 second stun is going to be better than that every day of the week. So I would say Lunar Blaze is probably going to be slightly better than Quickening Blessing. However, you can take Quickening Blessing if you really think your team needs movement speed. But I would say 90% of the time, Lunar Blaze is going to be the go-to one out of the 2 of those. If your team has no problem with CC at all, everyone can CC at some extent, and you can just stun lock someone without you even using Lunar Flare. Don't be afraid to take Battle Momentum. What you're going to use this on is you're going to use this to just keep the cooldown of your Shadow Stalk, which will be your ult, and your Light of Balloon up, so you can just heal it a lot more. But to do this, you will need to be getting a lot of basic attacks off, which is actually surprisingly difficult to do on Tyrande. But if you can get into the rhythm of just getting basic attacks off and just churning out the heals, you'll be able to heal a lot more if you do take Battle Momentum. And of course, Mule is always good on maps like Haunted Mines, maps where your structures are going to take damage, there's no 2 ways about it, but you to just heal them up straight away afterwards is always a massive, massive gain. So all 4 of these talents are good. However, I would say the go-to talent on this tier will be Lunar Blaze. It gives you engage potential, it gives you pick potential, it gives you peel potential, and it just means you have lots more damage. And then just after that, if you really don't suffer from any of that, Battle Momentum. But I think Lunar Blaze is very, very good here. Also, don't be afraid to go Mule. I don't really say Mule when I say go-to picks, because there are some maps that Mule just is really bad on. So at level 10, this is the healing build. It's going to be Shadow Stalk. I want everyone to read this tooltip. So it stealths all allied heroes and heals them for 506 over 8 seconds. At the end of Shadow Stalk, they receive a burst of 340 healing. So as you can see, at the end of it, they will receive a Light of Balloon heal on everyone on your team, and during the course of it, they will receive a Light of Balloon plus another bit, but it is over 8 seconds, and that is surprisingly small. So you cast it, Everyone in your team goes into stealth, and of course if they get hit they come out of the stealth, but they will still receive the healing. And they will receive the healing, and then at the end, which comes up with a cast bar at the bottom of your screen, actually I'll cast it now to show you. So over this duration they will be being healed 506, and when this ends they will be healed for 340, which is a nice little heal to go on the top of it. Very, very good. Amazingly useful talent. If you're hurting or something and you still need to throw down heals on your team, you can cast this when you're back at base. You can cast it if you're running away. Because of the range on it, it just is an incredibly strong talent, and it's actually a surprisingly useful amount of burst. If you're running into a fight, you have high health, or sorry, high mana, and everyone in your team has high mana, and they're on about half health. You can just throw that down, and then everyone will be at max by the time they go in. Really, really useful talent, and it just allows you to get that little bit more healing out that Tyrande desperately needs at this stage of the game. At level 13, it's a pretty obvious one. Go-to talent is going to be Overflowing Light here. It doesn't sound too good, but most of the time you're going to be above 50% health. With this talent, and with the Q, every time you heal someone, you're going to be healing yourself. You're going to be above 50% of the health, 50% health most of the time. As a result, you want to, it's basically 35% extra healing, which is a ridiculous amount. When you start healing people with this and you're above 35%, when you're above 50% health, you will start healing them for like Uther's Holy Light amount, and it costs hardly any mana, and the cooldown of it is basically nothing. So you can really start ramping up the heals at this point. And of course, because you get a heal from it as well, you don't gain the benefit of this, by the way. This is only the allied heal, so your heal will be respectively, as opposed to the other one, which will be massive, your heal will be very, very, very small. Your portion of the heal that you give to someone. But, however, it will be enough to get you above 50% health most of the time, and as a result, you'll just be churning out crazy amounts of heals. At level 16, this is where things get slightly strange. A lot of people say that you can take Mark of Mending. I think that's an awful talent. Don't take it ever. I like True Shot Aura. Again, at this talent, there is no real healing one. But what I do quite like is Shooting Star. You'll be surprised if you do take Lunar Blaze plus Shooting Star. It means that you just hit a lot more, and you don't waste mana. You can use that 60 mana to cast another 1 or maybe even 2 by the end of the fight, Light of Elune. So it's very, very good. If you do have a lot of auto attackers, though, I would say taking True Shot Aura is going to be essential. But most of the time, if you don't have auto attackers, if you have Keel'Thas's and Jaina's, Shooting Star. If you have Falstad's, Valor's and Reyna's, go for True Shot Aura. I'm going to go for Shooting Star because I think it's more fun. At level 20, a lot of people, and this is where things get slightly strange, or you can really make it your own. You can take Hunter Swiftness if you want the movement speed, if you're using it to engage or you're using it to peel or all kinds of things. This just means 40% movement speed for 8 seconds. That's a lot. You're going to be sprinting about the field for a long time with that. That's 8 seconds. So very, very, very good talent you can take here. Don't take Nexus Frenzy, that's all about damage. You can take Storm Shield, of course, if you're team fighting quite a lot and you're not winning the team fights massively convincingly. You can take Storm Shield to give you a bit of an edge in the team fights. And you can take Rewind to throw up the stuns and to just keep giving heals. And you can take a really interesting Rewind combo, so you can go heal, stun, rewind, heal, stun. And in the course of doing that, if you've taken the abilities, not only can you chain together 2 seconds worth of stun, you'll hit them for a really high amount if you've taken the rest of the spec with the Shooting Star. You'll be able to heal the person near you for an incredibly high amount, and they'll just be taking so many hits. So it is a really strong combo you can throw together. But the go-to one here is probably going to be Storm Shield. Don't be afraid to go for Hunter Swiftness, though, in case you are really desperate of it. But Storm Shield, it's going to come down to what map and how your team is playing at this point. If your team's playing very split up and it's very difficult for you to get everyone together at one point, Hunter Swiftness is going to be good because it means you can provide a benefit to everyone on your team regardless of where they are. If your team's playing a lot more grouped up and a lot more kind of aggressive and in team fights and more kind of together, then take Storm Shield. It's going to be a lot more of a benefit to your team as a whole. So that's the healing build. Now, the way this healing build works, and this is one of the reasons I like it, is because it only really starts to be a healing build at level 10 plus. Above that, the talents are kind of interchangeable and you can kind of do what you want with them. As you can see here, at level 1 you take Ranger's Mark, which is going to be pretty much go-to on most of the talents. At level 4 you take Protective Shield, which can be go-to on the damage build as well. And at level 7 you take Lunar Blaze. Now, obviously you can spec those differently, but that won't help your healing out too much. As a result of taking these talents in the early game, you're really quite difficult to lane against. You can roam with the Lunar Flare ganks past level 7. You can even do it before level 7, but it is going to be much more efficient with the range on it. You have the owl to continuously poke them down if you need to. I would advise against that. And if you're laning with someone else, you're going to be able to keep them at high. You're going to be able to keep both you and them at high health for almost all the time. And because of that, your wave clear isn't amazing, but because of the Hunter's Mark and stun combo, if they get caught off position, you can really damage them really quickly. And I say Tyrande does work best when she's laning with someone else, and that someone else is someone who doesn't have a very good way of healing, has a lot of wave clear, but can punish people when they get out of position. An ideal partner, in my opinion, is Valor, because you can stun them. Valor can use Hungering Arrow and multi-shot to clear the wave, and you can get loads of auto attacks off. She can do really, really, really well here. So that's the healing build. It's kind of a good one. I would say that the healing build works if you are either the solo support on your team or if you're with another semi-support, someone like Karazim or Tassadar. I have played games where I have had a Tassadar and a Tyrande on my team, and they've both gone for the kind of semi-support, semi-damage build. This build exactly as you see here. Some damage abilities, some healing abilities, and as a result it just means that while the healing isn't necessarily right up there with the likes of Uther and Lili, the fact that because they're in two separate locations, they can heal two separate targets at the same time is just really, really, really strong. And of course, when you combine the two with damage that they provide, and with the fact that you can pick one of them off and it doesn't really reduce the amount of healing you get overall, really very strong. But you have to play this how your team plays out. That's the best way to play Tyrande, really. Now, if your team plays out that you have one or maybe even two incredibly hardcore supports like Lili or Uther or Malfurion, you have people like that who are just doing way too much healing. There's no point in you even trying to heal because you won't get it. At that point, you want to go for the damage build. And the damage build is surprisingly similar, but there are two very, very, very important changes. Now, at level 1, you want to take Ranger's Mark. Reduces the cooldown by 8 seconds, just essential in my opinion. You can take Seasoned Marksman if you really want to, but I would say that's probably not worth it, as you won't get 25% extra by the end of the game. You might do, but even then it's 25% extra for you when you can get that same amount if you just put Hunter's Mark on things, and you put Hunter's Mark on things more often. So Ranger's Mark is going to be a go-to one here. At level 4, you can either take Protective Shield, but again, if you need no healing whatsoever, then go for Focused Attack and try and get as much basic attack off as possible. At level 7, it's going to be Lunar Blaze. The stun, the range, the damage is essential if you're going for the damage build. At level 10, it's going to be Starfall. The slow is incredibly good. The damage is incredibly good. The cooldown's a little bit punishing, but it's no real big deal. You can really engage and you can just throw down big, big, big damage. That's 140 damage a second. Doesn't sound like too much, but it is a lot. So you want to take Starfall here. At level 13, this is where things get slightly strange. So if you're going for a hardcore, definitely 100% I need no healing, then go for Huntress's Fury. Throw Hunter's Mark down and just start hitting them with auto attacks after auto attacks. However, don't negate the effectiveness of Overflowing Light. Hunter's Fury is going to give you 40% more attack speed for 4 seconds. That's not that much. If you take Overflowing Light, you're going to be able to heal a massive chunk, because that is the only thing that actually increases the amount of health you heal when you cast Light of Elune in your whole spec. You're going to be healing a massive chunk quite a lot. And in this build, because most of our damage comes off of basic attacks, you're actually going to find yourself with quite a high amount of mana. So you can cast Overflowing Light or Light of Elune, depending on which one, quite a lot. So Overflowing Light can help you and your team, even in a damage build. It's that strong. But if you need no healing whatsoever, go for Huntress's Fury. Huntress's Theory. At level 16, you have to look at all of these. You can take True Shot because of course your damage is going to be basic attacks, so that's going to be 15% basic attack damage for you. If you have a lot of basic attackers, True Shot is going to be good, and if you have not that much and you're landing a lot of your Lunar Flares, Shooting Star is going to be incredibly good. I actually really like Shooting Star here. And at level 20, you can choose between two of the talents. Either choose Celestial Wrath, 30% increased damage is not to be sniffed at. Really, really good. And the fact that it can be cast globally means you can help from anywhere across the map. You can set up traps somewhere, you can cover your escape, you can cover your teammates' escape from backup base. You can do all kinds of crazy things. And the other one to think of is Nexus Frenzy. It is going to be able to just churn out loads and loads of damage as quick as possible. But it does mean that Tyrande is going to suffer the fact that her damage on her Starfall isn't going to be too good by the time you get to level 20, 21. But Nexus Frenzy will mean that it will be. Now, if you're trying to go for a hybrid on this build, you want to look at changing the level 13 to Overflowing Light, and you're going to look at changing the level 20 to Storm Shield. I would say those are the only two you can really change to get that damage with a little bit of healing. I would say those two are the ones you want to change without a doubt. And if you want to go for the healing build, with a little bit of damage. Again, look at taking Lunar Blaze and Shooting Star. Other than that, that's pretty much going to be it. When you're playing Tyrande as an aggro, you have to play the same. Because of the way she works in the early game, she can't solo very well to begin with, but once you get past level 10, she can. Play her very cautiously. Make sure you throw up her heals if you're healing, or save your mana to cast Shooting Stars and Lunar Blazes if you're not. Don't be afraid to just stand at the back casting basic attacks. Remember to use your Hunter's Mark all the goddamn time. Doesn't matter who you throw it on, you will hit for so much harder when you start hitting them with it. And your team will really be able to get some... Oh, he takes Storm Shield, what a dick. Don't be afraid to try and use your W to finish people off. If he was a little bit low, I might try to do it. Oh, I missed him. I'm bad at video games, dude. Got him. Yeah, don't be afraid to do stuff like that. To use your W to finish people off, or use your E to finish people off. Remember to use your Q if you're healing build. Yeah, use your Q quite a lot. It's going to be where most of your healing comes out of. Keep an eye on your friend's health. You're going to have a lot. And just basically have a lot of fun. To get the most out of Tyrande, you want to make sure that you have Hunter's Mark and cooldown as often as possible, and you're landing your Lunar Flares. As healing, you want to make sure that your Q is on cooldown as much as possible, and you're using Shadow Stalk when most of your team needs healing. Other than that, that's going to be it. Tyrande is incredibly strong. Give her a go. Try her out in Quick Match. Try out Lass's AI just to get a feel for her. And if you do like her, then play her in some Hero League, play her in some Quick Match. You'll be surprised how strong she can actually be once you start getting to grips with her. It does have quite a steep learning curve, and you will find yourself bewildered for the first couple of games. But after you get through that, incredibly strong, incredibly fun. Thank you very much for watching. I have been Mr. G, and I will see you next time.